is going to be a pretty busy day. Of course, we got a couple of stories to talk about, and of course, finishing up our predictions, talking about really the all NBA teams, the awards, and then I think finally we'll talk about the NBA champion. I think we did a little bit of that in our power rankings, but I just kind of want to finish it by saying at the end of all this, who is going to be the NBA champion of the NBA for the 2022-2023 season. So with that being said, let's talk about our first story of the day. And I think we're going to talk about the Warriors first and save the awards for a little bit later. Let's talk about the 2 contract extensions that just happened over the weekend. The press conference that Draymond Green had obviously played a big factor into this. I don't want to continuously bring him up, but I think it is something to bring up when we talk about the 2 guys that did re-sign, and that was, of course, Jordan Poole re-signing for 4 years, $140 million, and of course, Andrew Wiggins, 4 years, $109, taking a little bit less money than I think a lot of people expected him to. Why don't we start with you guys first? I think, Brad, you can start us off with this whole thing. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, contract extension. Draymond Green left high and dry in the dust. Is this Draymond Green's final year? I know he has a player option. I'm thinking that he might decline it. What is your gut feeling about this whole situation right now with the 2 guys signing their contract extension?
Well, yeah, this could go one of 2 ways. I mean, the way I see it is, I mean, a bunch of people think this means Draymond's on his way out. I saw people on Twitter saying like this is their last dance and whatnot, comparing it to MJ and Pippen. It's just hilarious. But I think the Warriors know that Draymond is their heart and soul, like kind of like the Marcus Smart for the Celtics. Like you've seen Marcus
Mm-hmm.
Smart in trade talks for years. You've seen his name, but they've never moved him because they know if we move Marcus, this team might fall apart. Like we might not have the same results because he gets them to win. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the same with Draymond, and I think that he honestly might take a pay cut. And back to Pete's conspiracy theory, maybe they did release the video on purpose because they knew this would happen. Because Wiggins taking a pay cut indicates that they're trying to fit in Draymond, if you ask me. Like I know they paid both Poole and Wiggins, but why would Wiggins take a pay cut? Like, I know they're thinking about paying the young guys in the future, but I know they're also thinking about Draymond. So I think, at least for me, I think Draymond stays, and I think he just takes a pay cut. I can't really see him playing for another team. I know he loves the Warriors. He has great chemistry with Steph,
Mm-hmm.
Clay, and he knows their system. I just don't see him leaving.
Well, first off, Brad, I appreciate your call back to my conspiracy because I do feel like this does go towards that. Getting these extensions out there this quick, it means the Golden State Warriors were already, well on their way to getting this stuff done. And that Draymond situation, whatever it was, whoever released it, these conversations didn't start after that. They were right. They were going on, So
Yeah.
the only thing that I would maybe counter a little bit, and this isn't saying I think Draymond's gone for sure, but I do think that this is kind of the Warriors putting the onus on Draymond. Like now these dudes are paid. It's not on them anymore, right? It's on you, Draymond, to show us you can mature and, kind of regain your status with this team. Show us you could be a leader, right? If you can earn this, next contract, we have the space now to probably get you what you want. But we're not going to give it to you right now because of all the stuff that just happened. I mean, I think it's that simple, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to rush into giving you this big extension. And honestly, I'm still of the opinion they're not going to pay him. They're not going to give him a max contract. I don't think Joe Lacob, I don't think he's that type of guy, man. I really don't. I think he wants to win and continue to be like the Golden State Warriors dynasty. And if they're making smart decisions, which, I don't like the Warriors, but time and time again, the Warriors make smart decisions. They
Yep.
usually make the right choice. They're kind of like, of this decade, I would compare them to like the Patriots. Like they make the right moves at the right times, and they know when to get off dudes and move guys and so on and so forth. And this is their first opportunity to do it with one of their big 3, the core of this team that's built the Warriors, brand name. But they still don't want to ship him too soon. Like that's why I there's no way they trade him like in the middle of the season. It's not happening. It's not. They wouldn't do that
No
to
way.
themselves
Yeah,
as
not
far
a
as winning the
chance.
championship this season is concerned. That's just a waste of whatever potential they have this year because they're not going to be able to regain anything in terms of the value he brings them in the locker room when he's not punching people in the face and just the defense and running the team on the court is whatever you think of Draymond, that is by far the thing he is the best at in the NBA, in my opinion. He's kind of like a LeBron light in the sense that he is constantly dictating where his team goes, what they need to do, and when they need to do it. Yeah, they won't jeopardize that this season, but I don't think they're going to say, "Hey, we need to pay you." We're not. I don't think they're that type of team. But this will be interesting to see what it is, though, because then it'll give us a better idea of Clay. It'll give us a better idea of Steph. I mean, Steph is one of those ones that's just, it doesn't matter what
Untouchable.
happens with
He's
Steph.
untouchable.
Yeah. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what happens with him. Even if he falls off a cliff, which he won't, that will not happen to Steph Curry. I mean, he could probably play effectively until he's 50 with the way he shoots. But
Yeah.
Draymond, it's on him now. I like that for this team. Put it on him. Make him prove it.
Yeah. I
You're
think
probably going to get the best season out of him anyway.
I think all good things come to an end. And I think, like
True.
Brad said, this to me, I think a lot of people, we get lazy sometimes and we compare things to things that probably aren't even in the same atmosphere. And I think that that's what this is right here when it comes to the Last Dance. When we talk about this Warriors team, I think for me, I think Draymond is definitely gone. I think that the punch kind of sealed the deal because, again, I think the Warriors, I think to me, and to kind of go a little piggyback off your conspiracy theory, Pete, I think that the Warriors are trying to find any excuse in any way to not pay this guy.
Yep.
Because I think when we think about it from, the years leading up to even just the practice where he did punch somebody, the Warriors were always kind of like, especially Jacob Layman. I think he's the owner and I can't remember the Bob Myers and Jacob Layman. Yeah,
Right.
whoever those two are. Both of those guys kind of said before, I think the owner does not want to pay over the luxury tax for forever, right? He has a limit to how much he wants to pay for that luxury tax, and I think he's really at his limit right now. And again, yes, you signed Jordan Poole, yes, you signed Andrew Wiggins, but I think Draymond Green, and unfortunately, I think Klay Thompson too, when his contract situation is up as well, I don't think they're not gonna re-sign him either, because I think they want to go into their next phase already. I think that the Warriors are, again, and it doesn't mean that they're necessarily, giving up years of championship opportunities, but I think they're ready to move on to their next project, which is Operation Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, and start moving into those guys and saying, okay, we think that these guys could potentially be the next Warriors 2.0 or the next evolution of the Warriors. And I look at this team, and again, you guys are right. Like, Draymond Green is the heart and soul of this Warriors team. But just like any empire in human history, all things come to an end. And I just think that the empire of the Golden State Warriors, ruled by Green, ruled by Klay Thompson, ruled by even Steph Curry for that matter, I think it's done. And I think they are now trying to move into these new young guys, try to take advantage of the fact that, you have Kuminga, you have Moody, you have Poole.
Wiseman. Yeah,
Wiseman.
Poole.
Wiseman. All on rookie deals or cheap deals right now, and try to see like, okay, what do we have with this team? And then they can kind of rearrange the pieces here and there. Because I don't think that right now the Golden State Warriors, again, they could potentially go all the way to the NBA Finals this year. But as soon as next year hits, I think that they're going to be taking a step back and reassessing their assets and saying, hey, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, you guys have been great to us, but it's time to go. And I really think that's going to happen.
Wow.
That's where I disagree with
Draymond
you.
and Klay?
I think the move for this squad is getting rid of those guys. Like, if they want to stay competitive, like, I'm sorry, whatever you think of Draymond, I love Draymond as a basketball player. I've always defended him, even when he's his most annoying human being. The way he controls the pace of a basketball game with the weird skill set he has is basically one of one in the NBA. He's like, there's not really anybody like Draymond. But the thing that is understated about Draymond, and this is why I even came up with the conspiracy theory in the first place from my own perspective, is like, his athleticism is just not there anymore. Like, I know he turned it around in the finals and they ended up winning, but by all accounts, Steve Kerr made the absolute best decision possible in benching him early in the series, right? It motivated him enough to come back and prove that he still had something left. But Draymond was like, he's just not the same guy anymore. So if you're giving him a max, I think that is the death sentence as far as like your dynasty is truly over until you can get off of this contract, because you can't be competitive with a max Draymond 6 points a game, but not giving you all the things he used to give you. You can't be a competitive team with a contract like that nowadays. So realistically, that's why, like, I think the Patriots, I know I brought them up again. I think this is the best example. What have they done time and time again? And I know this is a basketball channel, but they always ship their big talent off right before they hit their peak, or right before they fall off the cliff, I should say. And that is why they're always pretty competitive. Like, they're never stuck with guys that are just shells of themselves. They move off of them and reinvest in new young guys. And that's the thing, man. I think something that is wildly underappreciated about this Warriors team is how good their young guys are. I can't believe I hear these Warriors fans talking about giving Draymond the max as if they should do it. I was so down on Kuminga before the draft, but if you watch them last season, he's the exact guy you need now. That's the replacement. He's an uber athletic freak. He can do anything on the court, like athletically, but also he can play defense, rebound, everything. Get him on the court, let him play. Moses Moody was good in the playoffs. He was legitimately good in his rookie season in the playoffs. Get that guy minutes, man. Jordan Poole, Wiggins, Wiseman has looked good in the preseason. They're so loaded they could go make a huge trade too. So that's not even counting Draymond as a trade piece. Whatever you think he's worth as a trade piece doesn't even matter. They could replace him with the snap of their fingers with all the stuff they have. So I think the Warriors are in a great spot as far as now. I know I keep saying it, but it's on Draymond to prove it. And if he wants to stay, he's got to be really good again and be a very impactful team player and motivate the rest of his guys rather than, obliterate the rest
Punching
of
him in
his
the
guys.
faces.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. I think they're in a good spot. If I'm the Warriors fan, the only thing that would bum me out is giving Draymond a max contract. Genuinely, I think that'd be the only thing that would bum me out.
But what if Draymond is willing to take less though? Like the same way
If he's
How
willing to take less,
much is less?
perfect.
How much is
That's
less?
the problem, bro. That's the problem. Now, I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to take that big of a pay cut, no matter if
I think he wants
it's
his
in his
bread.
best interest. He'll get it too.
Yeah.
So
Do you think he wants his bread over staying with the team and winning
100%?
championships?
100%.
Because another
100%.
factor here is Steph. Like, you guys are saying, like, get rid of Draymond and Clay and move on to the young guys. But is Steph going to be like cool with that? Like,
Clay. I don't agree with that. I'd keep Clay.
see, I actually think Clay is the most expendable because you can replace shooting and defense and then build chemistry. You can't replace the shot creation that Draymond has and the defense. He's their best defender by far.
Yeah, but he won't be though. That's the problem. He really won't be.
Really?
Like,
I mean, even last year, he was giving Jaylen Brown trouble. Like, he got benched,
but he
came
was-
back, and then locked up Jaylen Brown.
I know, but that was like 2 games. He was so bad in the playoffs, Brad. I mean, he turned it around in the biggest moment. So I won't like get on his case too much. That's the thing. You can never do that with Draymond because at the end of the day, he comes through in the big moments in the finals, other than when he's punching LeBron in the nuts, right? Like, he is going to give you something in these big moments, but I don't see what he is as a player if he is that athletically diminished. Like, I don't really understand what he gives you. They have vets that are like good team guys. And really, I think Steph is the guy. If you keep Steph and just let the team flow around him, it's all going to work out, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if there's any vet that is as impactful in terms of like keeping a locker room together as much as Steph is. I think a lot of teams would have imploded after the Draymond thing. But you have guys like Steph, Steve Kerr, they're going to hold it together. Those guys are the glue guys. They're the glue guys to me. Like, I want Steve Kerr, Steph Curry. Clay is, I don't disagree with you in the fact that he's expendable because he is, but I would still rather keep him because I think he gives you more. I think
I-
he gives you more in his older age.
Yeah, I
I
don't,
don't know.
I disagree. Respectfully. I did.
Let
But
me
before,
ask you this.
hang on,
What do
one
you
second,
think, Drew?
one
Oh,
second.
okay.
One second. I just want to read the comments so we don't miss out on any, and then you can talk. So let's see here. Drunk, you said send Draymond to the Shanghai Sharks with Wiseman. Come back, he got no rotation spot.
What?
Looney over Draymond is what Drunk is saying.
But Drunk, who's gonna make plays for Steph and Clay if you like? I like the idea of Kuminga athletically and defensively, but he can't pass the ball the way Draymond can.
All right, Pete, go ahead.
I don't know, man. You look at that, the money of it all. That's all it comes down to me.
Yeah.
It's all it's going to come down to. Because Bernie, I agree with you. I don't think Draymond is taking a big enough pay cut to make it worth it. 'Cause what does Draymond really give you if he can't score? I mean, he is a 0 on offense at this point in his career.
But he's never been able to score though. That's not what they want him for. They want him for
but
the
athletically,
playmaking.
who's he staying in front of in 2 years? Who in
2
2 years
years?
on a max
That's a good
contract?
question.
Warriors need Draymond like I need the chicken pox.
You had the chicken pox before, Drunk? Because some might say you need them now if you're not supposed to get them when you're an old person.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think at the end of it all, I think the biggest thing the Warriors, and again, the two things that usually downfall, whether it's a band, a group, is money and women, and the money thing is really going to affect the Warriors because I mean, again, the owner doesn't want to pay over the luxury tax again and again, like. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, again, I think that eventually, you can't be paying over and over and over again. I mean, unless like basketball is your life, and for these owners, it's not really. It's all about just kind of creating I would say like a passive income, if you will, just with all the money that you get from it and the notoriety and the clout.
Yeah.
I just think that I think the Jacob Layman, Jacob Layman's the owner, right? Or is it Bob Myers?
Yeah.
Joe Lacob.
Jacob Lacob. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. That dude.
Joe Lacob. Yeah.
Joe Lacob.
Richie Rich.
Yeah. I don't think he wants to pay any more money, man. Like I think he's done. I think he's ready to close his checkbook.
Oh, I see. I disagree with that, Bernie. I think he just wants to. I think he wants to pay the right people. I think that's the difference. He wants to be the cock of the walk, my guy. He wants to be the guy that can go and brag to all the owners. That's Joe Lacob. Like, go read articles about Joe Lacob. That's why he owns a team. It's so he can be this braggadocious, rich tech billionaire in South California. Like, he doesn't want to be bad. I think more than anything, he doesn't want to be bad. He was trying to go get KD this offseason. Go look at all that stuff. He was the one trying to convince Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, we need KD. Let's get him back and win another couple titles, right?
So then, from saying that, Pete, do you think that Joe Lacob doesn't want Draymond Green anymore in terms of like they would have used like, do they get rid of him? Like, you want to get rid of him a long time ago?
100%. I think if there was anybody in the building who has not only the power but also the motivation to get off of Draymond, it's Joe Lacob. He doesn't want to pay a max to a guy that scores 6 points a game and punches his teammates in the face. He doesn't want to do it because no matter what, this is the final thing I'll say for Draymond. His number one skill set up until this point that makes him so important to teams, specifically the Warriors, because he's only played there, right? It's that thing that people use to describe players like him and Pat Bev, where it's like if he plays for you, you love him, but everyone else in the NBA hates him, right? He's the ultimate like hype dude for your squad and just pisses off everybody else. But if that is starting to change where now he's pissing off the guys in your own building and the chemistry is off and you have guys like Jordan Poole, I refuse to think that Jordan Poole is worse than Draymond at this point in their careers respectively. Like that's crazy. And I think Jordan Poole is a traffic cone on defense. He still gives you so much more than Draymond does, especially if that's how Draymond's going to act. I think Joe Lacob is the most motivated person to get off of Draymond on planet Earth. It's a hard thing to convince Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the fans of Golden State. That is hard to convince them. But what's better than having to convince them? we'll just let them convince themselves that we could get off this guy. That's Joe Lacob. I think he wants to be the San Antonio Spurs of the 21st century.
This is tough. I mean,
he's shown it. He keeps shelling out money.
Draymond, see that drunk? Draymond is worth PJ Tucker money. That statement is flawed in a lot of ways, but you're not that wrong. Like at this point in their career, they're not that far away from each other in what they provide. But the perspective on them because of the rings on their fingers is completely different, right? They're not that different. Would you justify paying PJ Tucker a max and saying, well, think of what he brings to you, the hard-nosed defense and, just being around. He doesn't have the playmaking Draymond has, so he's already not as good, but it's not that far off. I don't disagree with that. I think you guys are thinking of Draymond from 2018 and 2017 and saying that guy, but I would argue he's potentially collapsed two of their best runs in the middle of their runs. Getting KD as upset as he did and just having that awful season they did, I guarantee you Joe Lacob would have rather kept KD than Draymond. Guarantee you that. He could have. That's not even a question to me. So
that's definitely true.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he went to go get him again. So
it's a tough thing, and that's why we're here on the internet arguing about it. Because I think it's a tough decision to make that I think a lot of people have to really, I think you really have to think about it, man. I mean, again, I think Klay, like you, Brad, I think that he's probably the most expendable piece because of the injuries. And I think the same questions that a lot of people have of Draymond are the same questions I have of Klay. Like, is he going to be able to, I mean, we saw in the playoffs, like his shooting wasn't as good as I think a lot of people remember it to be. I mean, I know that, Poole, obviously with the more athleticism, a little bit more ability to go score at the rim. I think that's kind of what the Warriors were kind of seeing. And you could clearly see that. I think Klay, as the season goes on, if I'm keeping it real, I think you could start seeing Klay Thompson maybe start to come off the bench. I think
you're nuts. You're nuts.
I think they'll start Klay just because Poole gives you a bigger punch. And Klay has the chemistry with Steph and Draymond. But I like you're not wrong.
I think you guys are underrating how long Klay was on ice. I mean, he literally jumped back in the middle of a season after 2 years of not playing. I mean, I don't think we saw Klay at his best. Even at this phase of his career, I don't think we saw Klay at his best last season. I really don't.
Agreed.
Was he that much worse than Draymond?
I would say yes. He was
really.
I would say just because there was those games where he was just chucking up everything, like he wasn't the same efficient 3-point shooter that he was before the injury.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't stay in front of Ja Morant like a younger Klay would have been able to do. He had trouble staying in front of guards, although he did a good job on Jaylen Brown. I won't lie, he was locking up Jaylen Brown, but Jaylen Brown can't dribble, so it's not that hard to lock him up.
That's 100% true.
Well, he's got a right hand, no left hand though.
Does he have a right hand? He has like 3 fingers on a right hand. As far as his dribbling is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, if we even look at again, like Klay Thompson is always going to be that guy, but it's just kind of, how much more does he have in him, right? I know he's 31, going to be 32, 33. I mean, Draymond Green's what, 31, 32 right now? I mean, they're both the same age. It's like,
I think give either of them maxes, to be straight up with you.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not paying both of those guys. I think it's like I said, it's time for the Warriors to start moving into their next phase of their generation. And I think that this is kind of the end of the Klay, Green, Curry. But I think Curry's going to be that bridge that is needed for a team trying to transition from going to the those three from the 2014 on. And they're going to need Curry to kind of be that bridge for the next generation. Because I think at the end of the day, the Warriors will continue to play the same offense that they do no matter what players are involved. They might tweak a little bit of things here and there. Maybe, try to get Kuminga a little bit more action for a roll to the paint and things like that, because you just have to take advantage of the athleticism. But I still think they're going to try to set screens for Curry, still try to do a lot of different setups for Curry so he can get his open shots. And I just think that that's kind of where I think that's where the Warriors are at right now. Is I think that they'll still have. I think the defensive schematics will change though, as they kind of move away from Draymond Green, kind of being the. I would say he's kind of like the safety of that whole defense, because the fact that he kind of sits in the middle, he kind of absorbs the drives that come towards him, and then the other guys just kind of peel out and go find a new guy to cover. So I think
I don't know. If I'm Joe Lacob, I'm paying these dudes money. I'm putting my trust in the people who are going to age the best as far as setting us up for the next generation. And that's Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. Trust those dudes. Steph Curry is going to age like fine wine in the NBA. I think that's like a given if you watch how he plays. Like there's not a time I don't think that he's going to be an effective player in the NBA, right? He's kind of like anti-LeBron in the sense that it's the same. It's not anti-LeBron, but it's the same thing, but very different formats of going to be like how they age into their late years. But trust Steph Curry, trust Steve Kerr, and move on. That's it, man. You have all these young dudes that are super talented. The most important part of the Warriors is the style of play and just that off-ball motion and getting open shots and looks. I love it, dude. I think they're set up for success. The worst thing they can do is panic and sign these dudes to crazy extensions and just be awful for 5 years. That would be the worst decision they could make.
Yeah.
But even then, I love that the Warriors are in this position because either way, we either get good basketball or bad Warriors, which I'm fine either way.
Seriously, I'll take that.
Okay, let's answer Drunk's last question and kind of end this. And let's do this. If you were the coach of the Warriors, who'd be your starting five on that team? And then we'll move on to our next topic.
I'll go first. It would be Steph, Clay. Who usually plays the 3? Draymond usually plays the 4, right?
Yeah.
Look up the roster real quick.
Probably go Steph, Clay. I like Moody a lot. I'd put Moody in the starting lineup personally.
Moody over Clay, or
no? I would honestly maybe this is showing my anti-Draymond a little bit. I wouldn't start Draymond even at the best thing you could do is at least save him for when it matters the most. Even no matter what you think of him, right? I just don't think he should start every game for them this season.
Just say you want to start. What's his name? Dante DiVincenzo. Just say it, Pete.
Oh my God!
We all know you're thinking it.
No, I do like DiVincenzo on that team though. But I would start. I'd start Steph, Clay, Moody, Wiggins, Looney. That'd be my lineup. Moody or Kuminga, either way. Swap them out. Either one.
I'd go Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond.
Oh, and actually, I'd probably try and start Wiseman over Looney if I could. If it starts looking like he is actually going to take that preseason into the regular season, I'd probably move him into the starting lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would go Curry. I'd go Thompson just for the experience, even though I would probably want to start Poole at some point. Then I'd go Wiggins. Then I'd go Draymond, and then I'd go Wiseman. I mean, again, my question mark for Wiseman has always been the injury. So if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a really good player. But that has yet to be the case for Wiseman, and I hope he changes that narrative this year with some good basketball. I would love to see him be one of those guys that steps up. Season.
He genuinely looked really good in preseason. I thought he was like, oh, wow, this is the guy that I wanted to take number 1 a few years ago. I liked Wiseman a lot that draft. So
yeah,
it was nice to see him actually start looking like that guy.
All righty. And let us know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole story with Draymond, with the Warriors, what their next steps are. I'd love to know your guys' comments and opinions in the comment section down below. And, let us know what you guys think of some of the questions that Drunk had. I think he had a really good one. Who would be your Warriors starting 5 if you were to pick the roster that they have right now? Let us know in the comment section down below.